soon, dear participants. Dear participants, I would like to inform you that whatever device you are connected with for today's webinar, kindly ensure that you can access the chat window, as chat window is an important mechanism through which we would be communicating all through the webinar. Also, any questions you would be having, you can write us on the chat window. Dear participants, the recorded videos of our activities are made available on our YouTube channel. You may find the details of the YouTube channel on our chat window during the webinar and subscribe to our YouTube channel for regular updates. Dear participants, stay connected with us till the last of this session and own yourself a certificate of participation. We would be sharing a feedback form link by the end of this session or during the nearest end of this session. So you need to tap onto that link, fill up the feedback form and own yourself a certificate of participation. Kindly ensure that we would be sharing this link only on this chat window. Nowhere on Gmail or WhatsApp we would be sharing the link. Stay connected with us and find yourself a certificate of participation. Shall we start, sir?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Ayushi.
Okay,
Yeah,
sir.
Ayushi, please start.
A very pleasant evening to all the distinguished panelists and the participants. Bharati Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management BVI Camp in association with Computational Intelligence Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Computer Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Technology and Engineering Management Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, System, Man and Cybernetics Society chapter of IEEE Delhi section, Communication Society of IEEE Delhi section, Consultants Network Affinity Group of IEEE Delhi section, Life Member Affinity Group of IEEE Delhi section, Inter-Society Relations Standing Committee of IEEE Delhi section, Industry Relations and Special Interest Group on Humanitarian Technology Standing Committees of IEEE Delhi section, with the associations Computer Society of India, Institute of Information Technology Professionals, IITP, ISTE Delhi section, and IETE Delhi Center as technical collaborator, welcomes you all to the webinar on the topic Computational Thinking, De-facto skill for 21st century educated youth. It is a moment of pride and honor to announce that we, with united hands, mark special contribution for the monumental occasion Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, an initiative to celebrate 75 years of glorious independence by organizing the thought-provoking sessions for our better future. This webinar is an initiative for the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. Education should prepare young people for jobs that do not yet exist, using technologies that have not yet been invented to solve problems of which we are not yet aware of. Well Vision by Richard Riley. Mathematical thinking, scientific thinking, social thinking, and logical design model, analytical, abstract, concrete, critical, etc. types of thinking. These different types are developed in practitioners of different academic disciplines and professionals. Each discipline requires and develops some or many of these types. In addition to intellectual skills, computational thinking trains us in finer human values to be tolerant and respectful of other human intelligences, developed in different environments, culture, and religious practices. The webinar aims to discuss various prospects of computational thinking from the perspective of emphasizing the need for making the computational thinking a part of human culture and related approaches to nurture the computational thinking. I would first like to take this opportunity to welcome amongst us our distinguished panelists for the day. We are privileged to have amongst us a galaxy of experts. I would first welcome Professor Subrato Mukhopadhyay, Sir, Chairperson, Consultants Network Affinity Group, and former Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section. I would now like to request Subrato, Sir, to please commence this session with his welcome address. Please, Sir.
Thank you, Arushi and others. Good evening to all whoever come. We have got our professor, revered Professor Manohar Lal again on the topic, because so many topics he has given in and around, but this is directly pointing out to do that you will be useless if you are not having a handheld unit and skilled enough to drive it. But I have got one observation. It should not be only left to the educated youth, one and all in the language of Professor Hoda. So everybody should be geared up with those type of units, skilled to take decision, maybe whatever your field, whether you do computation, mathematical analysis, logical things, social, any field IUC has made, even fine arts also. There is nothing wrong in it actually. Anyway, we'll hear Professor Manohar Lal much on details. And on the other side also, if you miss that thing, what can happen in future to you? Over to Ayushi.
Thank you so much. Thank you for always being the guiding force. I would now like to request Professor M.N. Huda Sir, Director, Bharatiya Vidyapeeth Institute of Computer Applications and Management, BVI CAM, and Vice Chairperson, IEEE Delhi Section, to address the participants with his inspiring words. Please, sir.
Good evening, one and all. At the outset, let me welcome the very honored Professor Manohar Lal sir, who at his age, normally it is difficult to accept the invitation, but as and when I request him, call him, request him and give him a different topic or a topic of my choice, he says, yes, I will prepare and will speak. That's the kind of zeal and that's the kind of commitment. And salute to you, sir. I take this opportunity to pay thanks to all my friends from professional collaborating societies, who is always a great source of strength to me. None other than Professor Subrata Mukhopadhyay, sir, the former chairperson of IEEE Delhi section. To us, a fatherly figure in IEEE, and we claim that he is an encyclopedia of IEEE. And we have missed him for almost 2 months. Now, good, he is here. So thank you so much, sir. We also have Professor Subramaniam Krishnamurthy, the former chairperson of IEEE Delhi section. And again, I could see many of my friends, the former national president of IT, Professor Reddy, and many others amongst attendees. Many deans, many sitting vice chancellors. So I take this opportunity to welcome you all, my friends from various parts of the country and abroad. Today's topic, computational thinking, de facto skill set for 21st century human beings. Professor Subrata has rightly corrected it. It is no more the educated people. It is for everyone. And that's how this topic since last almost 2 years have been every time giving some or other curiosity. And then I was thinking that we must organize some session on computational thinking, because that should be for everyone whether you are working in office, in academia, you are working in a corporate sector, or maybe ladies working at home as a housewife. If we do not know how to solve a problem, it is difficult to survive on this earth. And computational thinking enables you to solve your problem in a better way, be it a professional problem, be it a technical problem, an engineering problem, or problem to your personal and family life. That also can get solved. And when we are claiming ourselves we are a problem solver, then the next question comes to us, that is there only one solution or multiple solutions? And of course there will be multiple solutions. When there are multiple solutions, optimization will need to be applied, so that which one is the best solution can be justified with the help of some support. And the moment you are going to find the best solution, computational thinking will probably give you the best possible solution. That is the beauty of this particular topic. And for this particular topic, I have invited Professor Manohar Lalji, who has seen almost 6 decades being a teacher prior to being a student. That is altogether different stage. He has
Thank
seen
you.
mathematics, he has seen closely computer science, and he is seeing now the marriage of mathematics, computer science, and statistics together in today's world of IT. So he is the best person to tell us that how computational thinking in professional life, in personal life, whatever is the domain, can be of use to all of us. And thank you so much, Sugata sir, for correcting us. And that's how I say that unless you understand how various alternative solutions can be explored and the best solution can be finally selected for. In order to select the best solution, you need computational thinking. In order to explore the best solution, you need computational thinking. And all kind of problem will need that kind of thinking. So thank you so much for this. Let me remind you that we started this IEEE IET BBICAM webinar, weekly evening webinar series way back in May 2020 in the backdrop of COVID-19. And since then, with few skips in between, almost every Saturday we are continuing. So this is one of the most sustainable lecture series of the country, which since last May 2020 is being continued, and this is 90th lecture series of that domain. And all these lectures since day one are available at our YouTube channel. Link of that will be shared in the chat window. Those who have missed any of our previous lecture, or those who wanted to replay and see, because so interesting and so motivating talks have been delivered by so many of experts from academia and corporates, that if you get time and you view it, that will be a great acknowledgement and recognition of our work which we are doing. And thank you so much. With this note, COVID again is knocking our door in one or other way. So stay safe, stay healthy, keep learning despite disruptions all around us. And after today's lecture, whatever you do in your life, see to it that you apply computational thinking there. And computational thinking, though being a student of computer science, I personally believe is no more the prerogative of a computer scientist, is no more a prerogative of a IT professional, is the right of everyone to think the way it should be thought. And the God has given us such a nice brain, which even as on date, no computer scientist has mapped it properly. And that's the kind of the thinking which we need to apply. So thank you so much. Wish you all the best. God bless you all. Over to you, Ayushi, please.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for always being the guiding force. I would now like to welcome amongst us our expert speaker for today, Professor Manohar Lal, sir, former Director, SOCIS, IGNOU, New Delhi, with an e-bouquet. We welcome you, sir. Professor Manohar Lal, sir, has teaching and research experience of more than 48 years, having taught at various universities, including University of Delhi, JNU, and South Asian University. He has served as Director, School of Computer and Information Sciences, Indira Gandhi National University, New Delhi. He has also been the professor and head of computer science department and director, computer science center at MD University Rohtak and at HP University Shimla. A product of IIT Kanpur, IIT Delhi and University of Delhi, he completed his MTech in computer science and engineering from IIT Kanpur and pursued pursued his second PhD in computer science and engineering from IIT Delhi. He also completed his master's and PhD programs in mathematics from University of Delhi. He has delivered more than 600 of lectures, hours of lectures through educational channels including EduSet and Gyan Darshan of TV and Gyanvani of radio. Professor Lalsar has long research experience also. He also worked in the area of error correcting codes. Currently, he is working in the areas of theoretical computer science, formal methods in software engineering, and automation of reasoning. He is a member of number of national and international academic and professional bodies. He is also a reviewer for a number of national and international journals in mathematics, artificial intelligence, and e-learning. We are honored to have you amongst us, sir. We welcome you, and I would now like to request you to please enlighten the House. Please, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Ayush Chopra, Professor Mukhopadhyay, and Professor Hoda for very pleasing introduction. It really, at this age, pleases to listen all these things. Anyway, Professor Mukhopadhyay, Professor Hoda, and Dr. Ayush have already told that computational thinking is for human welfare and is not the prerogative of just the computer scientists and others. It is essential for everybody to live a dignified life in the current age. So with this introduction, I may briefly speak about my style before sharing my PPTs. In view of the fact that this channel and this platform has become very popular internationally, therefore our participants are from across the world. And in view of that fact, because of the pronunciation accent problems, I have written down most of my lectures. With this, I thank all the participants and all the institutions which are involved in sponsoring this talk. I really feel honored in being remembered for this occasion by all of you, including the very precious institutions. With this, I seek your permission to share my slides. So friends, just for a minute, I'll take. I don't. Okay. Now, computational. The title of today's talk is Computational Thinking, Defect Skill for 21st Century Educated Youth. Here, the youth needs to be clarified. I and Professor Mukhopadhyay both are youth. Youth means the desire or the earnestness for learning, and whosoever is eager to learn is young. And it is not the question of number of years on earth, but the desire to learn more and more for the welfare of human society. Secondly, my predecessors, Professor Mukhopadhyay and Professor Oda, also told that it is for the human welfare, it is the social welfare. Computer skills or computational thinking is not just for the sake of earning wages and all that. So some of these issues I am tackling in this particular talk. So the topics, the slides are not moving. Just one. Slides are not moving. I am not. Hello, Dr. Chopra. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My next slide is not coming. What
I'll
is
just check.
this? Slide
So
is
your
not.
first slide is visible.
Sorry, please.
First slide is visible, sir.
Sorry. Now, first slide is visible, but it is not moving now. I'm not able to go to the next slide.
So please take it onto the slideshow mode.
Once again, I should go back.
Yes, sir.
So should I escape it?
Yes, sir. You should take it to the slideshow
No,
mode.
oh my God, it is not moving. The computer is not moving at all.
Sir, can I play this from my end?
You please do, but
Okay.
nothing is visible, only the first slide is visible.
Sir, we'll
It is
play it from our end.
are sharing, stop sharing. Something is wrong somewhere. I see, now I am able to see you. So should I share once again?
Sir, if you want to give a try, you may please. Otherwise, if it doesn't work, we will share it from
Once
our
more
end.
I try.
Okay, sir.
Just 1 minute, please. Microsoft PowerPoint. Okay. Now,
Yes, sir.
so far it is okay, but something is wrong somewhere. And
Yes, sir. Please take it to the
okay,
slideshow.
okay. Now it's okay. I think so. So these are the technical hitches which we have.
Yes,
Friends, the topic for today's talk may be computational thinking, why and what. Man and machine intellectual assets. Actually, man and machine have different type of assets in which they have superiority over each other. And the computational thinking is about how to synchronize the best of the faculty intellectual assets of man and machine. Then the third is computer science's inherited characteristics. Actually, friends, computer science is born out of four parents. One is mathematics, logic, linguistics, and electronics. So naturally, it has inherited some characteristics of each. So we'll discuss briefly this. Then the main thing is skills required for and developed in computational thinking. Here we'll discuss algorithmic, recursive, analytical, abstractive, generalizing, etc., which are the essential skills required for computational thinking. And while practicing computational work, we develop these and sharpen these. Then application of CT to academic disciplines. Friends, this topic has been discussed in detail in the previous two talks, one on e-science and e-research, and the earlier on this digital humanities. So we'll have some slides for the sake of completeness. Now the next is sources of developing CT. This is for particularly the young people. What are the platforms or what are the sources which can be used for practicing computational thinking, for sharpening computational thinking? So here Scratch is MIT Labs software platform. And then there is a very strange Wolfram's methodology and claim. We'll discuss briefly. It says that he has developed a theory of small programs. And he says that his theory of small programs is mathematical, has advantages or mathematical physics. But main advantage for our point of view, it gives a platform to practice small programs to yield very complicated products. Then challenges and research issues, finally conclusion, and then we'll have some list of research journals and finally references. Friends, what is new in thinking in the 21st century or second half of 20th century? In the pre-computer era, I have already mentioned, I've written down everything in view of the international students or participants and because of pronunciation and style differences. So in the pre-computer era, we already had various types of thinking, including mathematical, scientific, social thinking, logical, analytical, abstract, etc. But for the first time in the history of human intellectual pursuit, there is another distinct type or species of intelligence, silicon-based, computer-based ones, which have some complementary competencies, and hence now human beings need to think additionally, in addition to through their earlier modes of thinking, at a metacognitive level, to exploit for each situation or problem type for finding optimal combination of intellectual assets from the two species of intelligence, as it is a purpose of optimization using the best resources of the two intelligences. In short, this meta-cognitive level of intellectual assets may be called computational thinking. Friends, this is time to pay our respects. Those libraries and pioneers who have made computer science one of the shining stars of academic disciplines. One of them is Peter Newell. Probably Peter Newell is the first scholar having talked of computational thinking. In his Turing Award lecture, I hope all of you know, I'm talking of the younger people, all of you know of the Turing Award, which is the most prestigious award equivalent to Nobel Prize. He was awarded this in 2005. And the topic of his talk was computing versus human thinking. He is well known for Backus-Luer form for writing syntax of programming languages. BNF type syntax has already been proposed and used by Indian grammarian. We should be proud of that. Panini 2500 years ago in Ashta Adhyay, meaning 8 chapters for Sanskrit morphology. Hence now the name instead of BNF is BBNF, Panini Backus-Luer form. He was critical of Turing's approach to computer science, and in this respect, I have some problems. In this respect, he says it is ironic that present award is being awarded in the name of Turing. And he actually says that he did not agree with the Turing. But anyway, this is the greatness of the scholars, that despite they don't agree with each other, they share the same platform and share their opinion. Friends, another person who has talked the earliest about computational thinking is Jean Mary Wing, Director and Professor of Data Science Institute of Columbia University. Another earliest scholar who talked of computational thinking in 2006. She says, CT enables what a human being cannot do alone. So I hope you understand, CT is about the management or the optimization of the resources of two intelligences. Number one, who cannot solve alone problems, design systems, or understanding the power and limits of the man and machine. In her 40-slide lecture is available on the internet, and some other people's slides are also available. However, mine have complementary emphasis. Now, friends, we come to the definition of computational thinking. One of the ways of considering computational thinking is, please note the words human beings. Computational thinking in human beings, a carbon-based intelligence, is about solving problems, designing systems, or carrying out human intellectual tasks in collaboration with a computing system, a silicon-based intelligence. It is about developing synergy between man and computing systems, or carrying out human cognitive intellectual tasks. That is, tasks are human. We are interested in solving those problems, but the synergy has to be created between man and computing, and the task of creating synergy is on the part of man. How to optimally use resources of the computer along with the human resources. This is computational thinking. See, it is not static or inherent. It evolves through practice, through improving and developing methods, approaches, and strategy, and other intellectual assets. So, friends, in the process of defining computational thinking, I am also trying to explain one of the characteristics or skill, which is generalization. How we generalize. So next stage is, instead of the silicon-based, I'll be replacing any other intelligence. So more generally, computational thinking in human beings, a carbon-based intelligence is about solving problems, etc., involving another type of intelligence. It is not necessary that you have silicon-based intelligence. It may be any other intelligence. And if you are able to exploit the resources of third intelligence or optimizing human problem solution, then again it will be called computational thinking. And it is again about synergy, creating energy. Thirdly, this may be the most general definition. In the process, I'm expressing one of the skills required for computational thinking, that is of generalization. And here, instead of human beings, we can have any two intelligences. And if the one of the intelligence tries to find the optimal resources of the other intelligence and creates an environment, then the first is required to have computational thinking. So friends, in essence, computational thinking is about synergizing the best resources of two different intelligences, but generally in our case, it is the human beings who synergize this one. In order to have better grasp of mode, because we have said that it is synergizing the optimal resources of the two. This means man and machine have complementary advantages. So briefly, we'll have the brief look at the relative advantages of man or machine and machine over man. First of all, friends, all of us know computers are much better than human beings in numerical computation, repetitive tasks, information storage, instant acquisition of tools, hence instant enhancement of assets for solving problems. Human beings may take years to acquire. All these advantages of the computer arise from the fact that the computers work at electronic speeds. So these are some of the advantages of the machine over human beings, and these need to be exploited for optimal solutions of the human problems. Now we come to briefly about the human strengths. Human strength, understanding of and reasoning with natural even are not able to understand. Even 5-year-old child's capability of understanding natural language. Millions of common sense facts I'll discuss. Use of judgment. When crossing a road, we don't apply S is equal to UT plus half AT square. Rather, we judge when it is safe to cross. Then learning is one of the biggest qualities of human beings, in which still human beings are much better. Creativity, abstraction, etc., vision, understanding. These are some of the qualities in which human beings are better than machines. So, in essence, what we mean is the best of human strengths versus and the machine strengths, and synergize best of the human problems. Friends, through this, I just want to explain that how my human creativity is used by us. Here I am saying some sort of light jokes, which a human being or human child also can understand. It's very difficult to understand. What I want to explain that human beings have better capability of creativity. A clever salesman can sell tickets to hell in such a way that you look forward to the trip to go to hell. Now, this joke, a computer may not understand, but even a child may understand. Don't argue with an idiot. He will drag you down to his level and then beat you with his experience of being idiotic. Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you hear them. To steal ideas from one person is plagiarism. To steal from many is research. So what I wanted to convey through this slide is that human creativity can create this type of jokes, which so far the machine is not able to create. I want to emphasize the human creativity is still superior than machines' creativity. Common sense. Really, our biggest asset is common sense. It is acquired mostly unconsciously, used both unconsciously and consciously. Most of it is acquired unconsciously through interaction with the world. It forms a very large part of human knowledge. The implicit knowledge has to be explicated for embedding. Now, next, I'll give you an example of what are common sense facts. A person dead once is dead forever. In no book we have studied this fact, but we know it. from our experience through our common sense. A person cannot die before birth. A part of something or somebody is also located where the body is located. All these facts we know, but hardly we have read it in any book. These are millions of such facts are embedded in our psyche, which we have never read, but we know through our experience with the world. And in respect of this, I just take next slide, please, is how common sense we have in understanding the next book. Friends, it is our common sense. This tempo say, I'll become a truck when I grow. The slogan indeed translates a tempo claims that after some years it will grow into a pig. But a human being will understand it a joke. Computer may not understand. Why? Because the human, in order to understand the joke, one uses unconsciously the common sense facts. What are the common sense facts which we use in understanding this joke? Only living organisms grow, and or only human beings can have ambitions. Tempo is neither a human being nor a living. So friends, what I wanted to emphasize is we have a big repertoire of common sense which we use in solving problems. This is our big advantage over the machine. Reasons for these human advantages. Having learned over millions of years from the instinct of survival in ever-changing hostile environment, and also out of ingrained curiosity to know more and more of nature. Human asset, biggest human asset so far our machine is learning capability. We learn from the environment through hit and trial methods and through suffering also. Friends, these are some of the relative merits, attributes of human and computing system. For example, human beings are informal, machine is formal. Language we use is natural, where the machine must have formal language. We'll explain what is, and so on, judgmental and all that. So these are the basic attribute values for man versus machine. These complementary capabilities of man and machine are grounded in their complementary foundations. Why man and machine differ? Basically, they are having two different characteristics. One is carbon-based and the other is silicon-based. Other is that our intelligence have evolved over millions of years, where the machine's intelligence has been created in over, say, 50 or 70 years. So these are the basic differences, and this is why there are basic differences in their intellectual capabilities also. Human mental assets are superior in matters relating to learning, perception, judgment, use of common sense, adaptability, planning, and creativity. However, these human cognitive capabilities are generally imprecise, imperfect, not completely reliable, and not systemic. And this is why we use the computer system, because they are more precise, more perfect, and more reliable. These assets have the informal basis. We need not be formal. These assets have informal basis, that is, we need not explicitly and precisely state in advance all fundamental entities of a problem. When you solve a problem with the help of a computer, you have to precisely mention what is the problem domain, what are the expected goals, what are the available tools for that, etc. In the case of human beings, we need not state all of these in advance. Then precise rules for structuring more complex entities, ideas, etc. These are also not required by human beings to solve problems. But in the case of machines, a systematic process has to be adopted. First of all, we have to define the problem. What are the inputs? What are the outputs? What are the tools available, etc. Very precisely. I mentioned in the introductory remarks that computer science has four parents, and it has inherited some of the characteristics from its parents. From mathematics, computer science has inherited abstraction, generalization, symbol manipulation, logical reasoning, precision, construction, algorithmic solutions. Linguistics. From linguistics, we have the programming language design principles. Logic. To derive conveniently or most irrefutably implicit fact in the given facts. Logic is very important. A large part of the knowledge is implicit, and we have some facts for how to derive properly. Logic teaches us. And last but not least, electronics. It is speed and other physical limitations are inherited by computer science. Friends, it is required in addition to the various factors to set up communication channels between two species of intelligence having distinct inherent characteristics for the purpose of optimization of problem solutions, as Professor Hodda and Professor Mukhopadhyay and Dr. Chopra mentioned. Optimization is the goal. How using the least number of resources to get the best possible solution, and the computational thinking is required and is developed through solving problems in synergy by creating synergy between man and machine. So friends, this is the main slide. What type of thinkings are expected to be developed through computational thinking, or what skills are developed are required for computational thinking? We'll illustrate the first 6. Because of lack of time, it may not be possible to discuss all. Algorithmic thinking, recursive thinking, thinking for abstraction, analytical thinking, formal thinking. I'll discuss these 6 rest, but others are also equally important. Logical thinking and critical thinking. Systems thinking. System thinking is very important. Parallel and distributed thinking, how to create teamwork, communication skills, and all that. Pattern recognition and sharpening human assets. Creative thinking and ethical decision making. These are some of the skills which are required and are in turn developed while practicing the computational solutions. So we'll, friends, next we discuss one by one the first 6 ones. Friends, each discipline has its specific set of methods and approaches. For example, physics and many sciences use methods which are experimental, theoretical, and now simulation-based in data science also. These are the methods, or these are the used by physics and many sciences. In mathematics, many methods use symbolic representation and transformations to obtain new representations, which are either equivalent or logical direct. Now the question arises, what is the basic methodology of computer science? Friends, if we ask a single concept of computer science, that you try to consider computer science in terms of a single concept, then it is algorithm. What is an algorithm? It is solving problem by step-by-step method, using elementary operations or use of algorithms. So friends, the single most important concept of computer science is algorithm, step-by-step method of solving problems using finitely many steps only. Well, in this respect, algorithm is a description or statement of a sequence of activities to be executed by machine of getting desired outputs from given inputs. Algorithm may be considered as a proposed solution, but expressed in a natural language or some semi-formal language. But for the purpose of to be executed by a machine, an algorithm is a proposed solution which is prepared in such a way that it can be understood and executed by the machine. That is the difference between purely human solution and an algorithm. Similar concept is computer program, which is algorithm expressed in a programming language. Algorithm may not be understood by the machine because it is in semi-formal language. And a process, similar concept, is in execution of a computer program. This is the differentiation is given for my young friends who may not be knowing the subtleties. Friends, as I emphasized earlier, that algorithm is a single concept in terms of which we can consider or can describe whole of computer science. And this is written on the first page of Fundamentals of Data Structure by Horowitz and Son. One may view computer science as study of algorithms encompassing 4 distinct areas. For example, design of machines. Machines are designed for the purpose of executing algorithms. Languages are designed for the purpose that these can be understood by the machine and executed by the machine. Foundations of algorithm or theory of computation. It is meant to find out the limitations, what computers can do and what computers cannot do. And in this aspect, I may tell you, my friends, that in 1930s, much before the first computer was born, electronic computer was born, most of the theory of computer science was developed. And one of the very important results at that time proved was that only a very small fraction of the problems which we human beings encounter can be solved. Very, very small fraction of the problems we human beings encounter can be solved with the help of the computer. Human ingenuity is must for solving difficult problems which cannot be solved by the machine alone. And this emphasizes the fact of the synergy between man and machine. And you will be surprised these facts were proved between 1930 and 1935, that no machine, howsoever advanced computer may be developed in future, it will not be able to solve even a small fraction of it. And lastly, design and analysis is how to analyze the problems for the purpose of solving. So friends, what I wanted to emphasize is that algorithm is the single most important computer concept of computer science. Algorithm, some characteristics, it may have 0 or more inputs. It may have even 0 inputs. For example, you ask the computer to print the largest integer, it will not require any input. Print ASCII code of each of the letters in the alphabet. It will not ask for input. So there are algorithms which may not require any input at all. However, you must have one output, because if there are no output, what is the fun of using computer for solving problems? Must have fun. This is very important. That it should not go up to infinity. It must have finite number of instructions. And definiteness, if you toss a coin and then you take the next step, it is not algorithm. But nowadays, probabilistic algorithms are also being accepted as algorithms. But the earlier definition of algorithm was that there should be definite sequence and effectiveness. Effectiveness means that, for example, if somebody says, find the exact value of E and then add it to X, nobody can find out the exact value E by computational methods, though E has a definite value, but it cannot be found even through infinite. I'm coming to very interesting characteristic or skill, which is called recursion. For example, we want to draw this or to develop this figure, which seems to be very, very complicated. through recursion, just using a few lines of code, but executing repeatedly, we can get this diagram or this figure very easily. In order to simplify, first we consider the problem in 2 dimensions. This is called Sierpinski triangle. How we create this triangle through just 2 lines code, repeating it in large number of times. The algorithm is very simple. 3 line. You have a triangle on the left, plain black triangle. You take the middle points of each of the side and remove the innermost triangle. And then you repeat for each of the smaller triangle marked as DLR. Go on doing it for say 100 or 50, 200 times, and you'll be getting that. But what is the beauty? That the recursion with just 3-line code can create wonders. That type of diagram, complex diagrams can be created just by using 3 instructions. This is the beauty of recursion. If we start instead of 2-dimensional figure, 3-dimensional figure, we will get this one. Now you can see, despite the fact that the figure is very complicated, just 3-line code can create this figure, of course, repeating a number of. That is the most beautiful aspect. Friends, in this aspect, you think of finding out n factorial when n may be million or billion. But this 2 lines code, n factorial is equal to n multiplied by n minus 1 factorial, and 1 factorial is 1. Just this 2 lines code, a programmer need to write just 2 lines code, and you can get the factorial of 1 billion or 1 billion or whatever you like to. So this is the beauty of recursion. Similarly, friends, I hope you may be knowing Professor Nicholas Wirth. He's also among the pioneers. And he says the power of recursion evidently lies in the possibility of defining an infinite set of objects. Now, n factorial is infinite. You take n is 1, 2, 100, 1,000, 1 million. So infinite set of factorials may be found, and in general, other activities infinitely many times can be done. In the same manner, infinite number of computation can be described by finite recursive programs. So recursion is one of the most beautiful and powerful asset of computer science skills. Friends, recursion is a specific case of iteration, repeated execution of a sequence of instructions, but with the difference that the output from the previous instances should be input to the next. In the case of iteration, this restriction is not required. But in recursion, the previous outputs, some of the previous outputs must be as inputs. That is the difference between this. Involvement with and practice of these develop, create recursive, iterative thinking, which is an essential skill for computational thinking and for problem solving with the help. Friends, in the history of recorded history, Panini is the first scholar who used the concept, as I mentioned earlier also. Panini was an ancient grammarian. He is famous for his Sanskrit grammar, particularly for 3,950 rules of Sanskrit, given in the grammar known as Ashta Adhyay. Anyway, that is one thing. His ideas have influenced the work of each of Ferdinand de Saussure and Noam Chomsky, both very well-known modern linguists. Chomsky calls Panini his spiritual father. We are proud of Panini. Friends, the next, I have already talked of 2 skills, including the algorithmic skill and recursive skill. Third very important skill for computational thinking is analytical skill. Now, what analysis does? Analysis goes inside the problem or the solution find special characteristics of the problem or the solution. For example, analysis tells whether a particular step can be ignored. For example, while proving a theorem, we prove a lemma. And later on, we find the lemma is not useful. So whatever effort you devoted to lemma, proving lemma is of course wasted. But no more effort has to be made in order to go ahead with the proof of the theorem. But if you are playing 8 puzzle problem and you made a move, and later on you found that the move is wrong, so you can go back. That is, one move is wasted in the process of correcting the mistake. So here, this is a 8 puzzle problem is a recoverable problem in the sense that a wrong move can be recovered at the cost of extra move. Inherently recoverable. That is, if you are playing a chess and you made a wrong move, your opponent will take advantage of that. So what is analytical thinking? Analytical thinking goes deeper inside the problem or the solution in order to find out specific characteristics of the problem under consideration so that the problem can be solved much easier. And this is one of the way we can choose. Analyzing algorithms is a very common feature for determining efficient use of computer resources. If you have 2 algorithms, one takes more time, we'll prefer the one which takes less time. Similarly, memory space, we'll prefer the algorithm which takes less space, and man-hour. So what I mean to say, analysis of either the problem or the solution allows us to go deeper inside the problem or the solution to find out its special characteristics. Thinking for abstraction, modeling systems, and simulation. Friends, I forgot, I think, to mention modeling systems and simulating phenomena are also very important characteristics of computational thinking. However, these are basically very complex here for us to discuss. But both modeling systems and simulating phenomena, these activities are basically about abstraction of the essential from the abundance of the data, which may be most of which may be useless. Now I discuss abstraction a little bit. Abstraction is mental faculty or process of extracting or choosing some specific attributes of entities out of possibly large number of available attributes of entities. For example, we have 4 pictures here. They are different sizes, shapes, and structures. However, they have one thing in common, they are spherical. So in this particular case, we say the balls are spherical is abstraction of the common properties of these 4 pictures. So this is the act of abstraction. Abstraction is one of the innate human mental characteristics used by us consciously and unconsciously. First, I take the unconscious use of abstraction, that is, we don't know, we are not aware that we are doing abstraction, but we do abstraction. We have ever-growing huge storage of knowledge about our own self, our families and relatives, people with whom we have worked, our neighborhood, our country, the world, the knowledge acquired through reading, viewing, etc. and all that. But when we are solving a particular problem, is he working on a research problem or appearing for examination, say for computer science, our inbuilt mechanisms bring to consciousness only that fraction of the knowledge which is relevant for solving the research problem or writing the test. This is subconscious abstraction. We have abundance of abstraction capabilities, but we don't know that we are using them. Next, I come to conscious use by human beings of the abstraction. Date of birth. Our date of birth is recorded in the various places. But is it the appropriate way? Every instant of time of the day also matters. But we upset the date of birth because otherwise it becomes innumerable problems that is can't be handled. Retirement is done on the last day of the month. All the days of the month clubbed or abstracted into the last day to make efficient the calculations of the retirement. Timetable in school is framed for class section instead of for each student. Individual details like name, date of birth, etc. of students, which are irrelevant for the purpose of framing timetable, are abstracted away. Now we come to a very interesting thing in mathematics. We have problems like common. 4 men and 5 women finish a task in 4 days, and 2 men and 6 women finish in 6 days, 10. What is the number of days, etc.? But how can 4 men age respectively 18, 34, 55, and 60, and different health conditions yield the same amount of work? We just abstract out these differences in order to simplify the problem. Now you consider the days. Day 1 may be hot and sultry, day 2 may be cloudy, day 3 may be rainy. How can people yield same amount of work on each of these days? These are abstractions to reduce complexity and simplify problems. So friends, in the human case, we have seen how human beings use unconsciously and consciously the power of abstraction for simplifying solving. For computation, proper practice of abstraction is essential in view of the fact that efficiency is a major issue in CS, distinguishing it from mathematics. In mathematics, if a proof takes 100 lines and another proof takes 50 lines, we don't care for that. But in computer science, even a single letter or a single fraction can be saved. We'll prefer the one which saves a very small fraction of the time, because efficiency. And for the purpose of efficiency, as I mentioned earlier also, abstraction is a very important tool. Because abstraction is very important in computer science, because if more than required knowledge is acquired, stored, and used, system becomes inefficient. If less than required knowledge is acquired, then solution either may not be obtainable at all, or may be useless, or may not be optimal, or be incomplete and ambiguous. So friends, for computer solutions, abstraction is one of the very important characteristics of skills. Studies of how problems are solved within computers and information is communicated over networks exhibit best examples of abstraction. We'll look only few. Friends, in computers, the memory is implemented in different ways. In RAM, memory chips are capacitors. In hard disk drive, this is composed of Microsoft magnetic lines. And a solid state is made out of transistor. All three are different technologies. But no computer user knows whether I'm using RAM or I'm using hard disk or I'm using solid state drive. In order to solve with the computers, most of us never care for it, but somebody cares us who abstracts away the differences. However, all these differences are handled by the interface between machine code and hardware. These are abstracted away. So there is the interface which tackles these differences and lets us not to bother about these minor differences, these major differences. But these are major differences, but these are abstracted away by the computer's interface with the hardware and the machine code. Now, friends, bits are organized into units, including registers. However, registers may be 8 bits. In the oldest computer, it was 8 bits, and some of those are used. 16 bits, 32 bits, 60, 120 bits. But these register size differences are taken care of latest at the stage of assemblers differences are abstracted away or are made invisible to the higher level by the compiler and programmer. So these differences are abstract away. Operating system and other system software, including linkers, etc., each abstracts away these differences and some of the details of the actual happening within the company. Don't think these differences is minor. Friends, I tell you, because of the mismatch between 32-bit and 64-bit, a space mission was failed. I talked it about in 3 or 4 lectures earlier. Because the programmers did not take care that some of the processes are 32 bits and the other processes are 64 bits. And because of this, $1 billion of space mission was failed. So what I mean to say, the differences are not minor, but something within the computer system takes care of and lets us not to bother of that. But these are really botherable facts in actuality. Friends, OSI model is really for theoretical purposes, it is very important for us. And we have physical layer, etc., and application layer. And you look at the physical layer, it transmits bits over a medium, provides mechanical and electrical applications, etc. And applications are use applications by bothering any how it happens. Purpose of layering interface between these two. The interface takes care of fine details of the mechanisms and abstracts away, hides these details from all the above. For example, for physical layer, the typical issue includes how many volts should be used to represent each of a 1 and of a 0? How many nanoseconds a bit should last? Whether transmission may proceed simultaneously. So friends, these are the issues. But no programmer or no application user ever bothers about this. But don't think these differences are minor. These are really very important. But what is the relevance of error correcting codes nowadays? Now you see, friends, error correcting codes at the data link layer play a very significant role. But because it's deeply embedded in lower levels, hardly any one of us now even hear of the error correcting codes. So what I mean to say, more fundamental an activity, more deeper it will be, and more we will be unaware of that. And in this respect, I recall a quip of Gulzar, which tells us, don't bend so much that you become too humble or too self-effacing, that people take you as a doormat or for footrest. Any error correcting codes have gone down too deeply that hardly anybody knows. But he gives a lesson of life also, that becoming too humble or too self-effacing, it may be a problematic one. Anyway, this is for the lighter moment. Section is essential for future safe, future-proof system. Every day, new programming languages are coming. Every day, new type of systems are coming. If you start teaching each and every programming language, it becomes very difficult and it will become redundant tomorrow. What is required? What is required is principles are required for formulating the languages. It is the language particular is not required, but the basic principles. And what are principles? Principles are abstracting the best of the past relevant experience. Same is true of design. Tomorrow, better and better designs will come. But if you know the principles of design, you teach the principles of design. And what is this principle? Abstraction of the best of the past relevant experience. Modeling systems and simulating phenomena are quite comprehensive activity, but involve mainly abstraction. So friends, I've already emphasized need for abstraction. A related concept is generalization, which I explained in the terms of the computational thinking. First, I defined it for human beings and silicon or computers. Then I generalized that instead of computers, it may be any other intelligence. And in the third case, I generalized it need not be human beings. It may be any two intelligence. One of the intelligence creates an environment of synergy between the two intelligences. And then the first one has computational thinking. Generalization is also a very important concept, but it is different. I have given it here because generally generalization is misconstrued as abstraction. Friends, for example, we have x plus y square is equal to this, x plus y cube is this, x plus y4 is equal to this. From here, instead of 2, 3, 4, if we use n, a parameter, and then we write a formula which captures the earlier ones, then it is a case of generalization. Some of the general we discuss. So generalization is also a very important computational thinking step. Hence, I think this may be the last of the skills. Why that part? I briefly tell you, friends, because there is not much time, that at one time around 1900 or so, mathematicians felt a lot of difficulty, and many of the solutions were not coming as expected. And the problems were of some type of this one, that when you define limit or continuity, you say let epsilon be greater than 0, as small as we like to. Let epsilon be greater than 0 as small as we like. But epsilon by 2 is definitely less than epsilon and is positive also. So this type of problems came, and from there, the mathematician thought, what is the problem with mathematics that this type of things are creating? Then they thought that one of the major reasons for the problems of mathematics is that we use natural language to practice mathematics. Instead of natural language, we should use formal languages. And now you know greater than, less than, equal to, factorial. A lot of notations are there because now we don't write factorial. We say factorial notation is there, maybe some sort of semicolon, something like something, exclamation mark, to handle complexity, for communication between two intrinsically different. So these are the three reasons for formal thinking. I explain. First of all, complexity is one of the reasons formality. For representation in college, no formal body like election commission is required. However, for parliamentary elections, in view of the large number of electorate and their diversity in terms of education level, linguistic differences, formal bodies, formal written rules are essential for smooth conduct of election. That is, complexity necessitates formality. Meeting in a class, in a college, no strict formal procedure, but parliament requires formal because of the complexity of the functioning of the parliament. Movement in a university building or local street, no left-hand movement rules, etc., are right-hand, but no on national highways across the international board. Rules become more and more formal. So friends, first reason for formality is to handle complexity for smooth functioning of a complex system. With increase in size, variety, and differences in cultures of the actors, to begin with, the rules being tacit, intuitive, informal. Then they become more written, more precisely written, so that involved processes are understood by all actors without ambiguity. Purpose of formalization of rule is to make unambiguous understanding of the system by the various actors. And in the case of computers, we have two different species of intelligence. Communication is very difficult between the two, and therefore formalism is essential to have communication between two distinct species. I just tell you why natural language cannot be used with the computer system. I'm just saying in a lighter way, to a naughty child who becomes too much nuisance, we say in Hindi, शरारती बच्चे अब तू यहाँ से 9 to 11 हो जा वरना, which literally translates in English, naughty child, now you become 9 to 11 from here, otherwise I. But the intended meaning is naughty child, you just run away from here otherwise, which cannot be thought by any stretch of imagination unless one knows Hindi. Difficulty of communication is there even between the same species, the human beings. What to talk of two different species of him. Now you look at this one. Now the slogan on the truck in Hindi says, "Dheere dheere chaloge to bar bar miloge, तेज तेज मिलोगे तो हर द्वार मिलोगे." Here, literally it means if you drive slowly, we meet repeatedly. But if you drive fast, then you meet in Haridwar. A person who is not familiar with the Indian culture may not understand it. Meeting in Haridwar is literally used for death. That is, if you drive fast, you will die. What is the purpose of these two slides? Friends, it is well known fact that natural languages express human feelings of joy, sorrow, humor, surprise, etc. Quite satisfactorily, especially through various figures of speech, like idioms, similes also. However, this part is very important. However, these figures of speech make a natural language ambiguous, vague, imprecise, and even inconsistent, and hence make a natural language unsuitable as a mathematical or scientific language, or for communication between two intelligences. And therefore, we have formal languages which can give unique meaning to the linguistic expressions. What is a formal language? In one slide, I try to explain. A formal language is a language designed for the purpose of various entities, including representations. Explicitly, we have to tell what is our alphabet set. What are the rules of constructing words? We have to tell the rules. From the words, how we make sentences, we have to tell explicitly. If a language is designed as most of the programming languages are designed, then we say that the language is formal. It is not like natural language. I hope you understand. The syntax of language has to be mentioned. And even the semantics, you should have strict rules which are not yet fully formalized. Advantages of formalization for thinking are that these instill in, and through the practice of formalization, we are able to work at two different levels, at the machine level and human level. We develop a metacognition in which we understand two different entities. So formalization practice is very important in order to work at two different intelligence levels. While thinking from the complementary perspective of machine, which is quite different from the type of intelligence, we develop better insight in the problem and its domain. The same may be true of learning a formal language. Applications. Friends, this section we have already done. I briefly go through how computation thinking has been applied to sciences. In our previous lecture, we discussed in e-science and e-research, and to humanities, we discussed in the still earlier ones on digital humanities. Friends, for computational aspects, in particular, discipline like factual knowledge tools, techniques, one must have computation for synergizing one's human with the relevant complexity. We already know for all disciplines, all scientific disciplines, in addition to, say, physics, we have computational physics, physical informatics, and digital physics. To take any three new disciplines based on computer science or computer skills have developed. This is a big contribution to the computational thinking, because you can carry out these three types of disciplines corresponding to X only when you have computational thinking. How can you create computational physics unless you know computation and you know physics? You already must have heard of these things: computational physics, computational chemistry, etc., bioinformatics, geoinformatics, nursing informatics, and you have digital humanities, digital sociology. What I mean to say, to have each of these disciplines, we must have computational thinking. Otherwise, how can we have computational chemistry? I have two examples of computational chemistry because time is short. I just go through, and computational biology here at the top Turing is there. We said to be the father of modern computer science. Anyway, these are the new disciplines because of the computational thinking is involved. Now, digital humanities, which we talked in earlier lecture, digital humanities involve all these disciplines: photography, natural language processing, visualization. Definition of Wikipedia: digital is an area of scholarly at the intersection of computing and degree and technologies and disciplines. It is at the intersection. It is not purely humanities. It involves computing. It includes systematic use of digital resources. Digital may be defined new ways of doing scholarship that involve collaborative, transdisciplinary, and computational engaged research and publishing. Friends, the difference between humanities and discipline. Humanities used to be solo music, and the digital humanities orchestra. Why? A digital humanities work not only but many a time is software project around humanities theme, and people from all sorts of disciplines are required to work. You require software engineers, you require web designers, you require programmers, in addition to humanities specialists. So it is an orchestra against the solo music of the earlier humanities discipline. Computing is changing and facilitating visual and performing arts. Experiment. For example, in painting and music, modifications can be made at no cost. Possibility of instant modification. Earlier, if a painter worked for months together and later found some defect, that particular part was to be destroyed. Arts become accessible to laymen. Now laymen can also watch all these digital creations. Large repertoire of tools creates environment for collaborative work. Now, as I mentioned, different type of skills workers are working together. Deeper investigations, birth of new disciplines, mass media is a new discipline in humanities. Humanities, except for painting and reading, was now it is multimedia, including earlier it was all textual. Now, some of the new type of literature or humanities have come. Electronic literature was not there before the computer revolution. Social media literature was not there. New type of literature. Cyber utopia and cyber dystopia are new themes. Digital painting, virtual arts, and electronic music are new type of each of the earlier ones. So, computational thinking or computer revolution has created new disciplines in humanities also. Friends, now I come to a very important part. How, particularly for the young ones from even the children now, I'll give references for two. For developing computational thinking young at all. Young means all those who are eager to learn, maybe 80 or 90. One platform is Scratch, a computational authoring environment developed by lifelong cadre of the MIT lab. And the second is a new kind of science. This is a highly readable book, though it is about 1280 pages. But for people like us, at least, it's a must. It tells the skills of computational practices. And it is a new way of thinking, particularly for the physicists. I recommend they should read it. He has given a new theory through practice of small programs. So anyway, I go into the details. Small programs. It allows us to fiddle with small program. It allows us to fiddle with small program by making small changes, leading to quite different patterns. In the initial inputs or rule, we get strikingly different patterns. It gives really practice of computational thinking. And this slide is a bit difficult. It is cellular automata. It is sort of grid on the left-hand side. And here, the rules are there. What are the rules? That if in the next horizontal line, initially only these are here. It is given to us. And on the basis of this, these rules are applied. And here these rules say that the immediate above and the two right and left hand neighbors, one of them is white and the other is black, then you make it black. Only white can be when all three above are black. So this is a bit difficult to explain. So initially, suppose we are given this cell as a black, or this cell is given initially. This is the initial input. Now, how to determine the values of whether it is to be black or white? Now, it is determined by these rules. And these rules say that in all cases, the next one should be a green one, except when all three above are white. So according to this, this is the next case. That is this one, sorry. This one, the right hand one of the middle, should be also green and the left hand also should be one, because by this rule, you will get both of them as green. And now the next row is to be filled like this one. This is called cellular automata. And by using these particular rules, we get this side. After 8 or 10 iterations. I think this is the most difficult part of the explanation. Now, using different rules, you will get another pattern. Earlier you had this pattern, now you had this. You use a little bit different rules. You get this pattern. You get these rules. You get this pattern. Friends, you can see a child may try these rules very easily to get very different patterns. And this is really very interesting. Now, I come to serious matter. and it is about physics. Wolfram claims through his theory of small programs about explaining the fluid flow. He says that fluid flow can be discussed more easily with the theory of small programs than with mathematical equations or mathematical physics, because mathematical physics does not have still satisfactory explanation of fluids. One particular characteristic is that when fluid is made to flow rapidly, it tends to have complex patterns which we call turbulent flows, or otherwise simple patterns called. Traditional science has never been able to provide convincing underlying explanation for fluids. However, theory of small program claims to do it convincing. Friends, these are some of the flows which are difficult to be captured by mathematical physics, which Wolfram claims, and convincingly he claims, that these patterns can be explained by theory of small programs. I should have explained that when the flow is very slow, then it is very smooth. But when we make the tap, we open out the tap, it becomes scattered. Similarly, when the river water flows, it is very smooth pattern, but the turbulent pattern arises when the water flows, particularly it has obstacles. Friends, Wolfram says that starting from elementary operations of cellular automata, you can obtain this type of complex patterns by repeating millions of times simple programs. The emphasis is on simple programs. Repetition million times is not a problem nowadays with the speed of computers. And therefore, Wolfram says that we can explain the fluid flow more simply with theory of small programs than this. But main thing here for my purpose, apart from being a convincing theory, is that children, just by making small changes either in the initial put or in the rules, very minor changes, they can see how the pattern changes drastically. It can be really fun, and not only fun, but learning experience also with small programs. Friends, now I come to computational, I think, challenges. Some of the part of this slide is not visible. So anyway, I'm coming to challenges and research issues. I think last 2 or 3 slides are left. The very small section, what are the challenges? The very small section of humanity, including the IT czars, are exploiting IT resources for spreading fake news, mischievous propaganda, conspiracy theories, and conduct frauds, and use it for inciting hatred among people, all on the massive scale. The way the IT oligarchy, despite doing immense good to society, are also exploiting just out of profit motive, particularly the youth, by making them addict to the social media and being involved in copyright influence. And many such undesirable consequences of misuse of IT are happening every day because masses are not sufficiently literate. Many such undesirable consequences of misuse of IT are happening every day because masses are not sufficiently literate and educated in city. Apart from technical matters, to be aware of the potential usage and misuses is an essential part of computational thinking. The technical, social, political challenge at present is how to make the masses city literate at global scale. So friends, there are many challenges. I am quoting just two. The first is how to make the masses city literate at global scale. This is, I think, one of the biggest scale, so that all these frauds, etc., which are done against the humanity cannot be done or can be reduced at least. How to understand a harmful software without suffering from it. It is, I think, a very serious challenge, because human beings have developed intelligence or problem-solving capabilities over millions of years, mainly by sensing the environment through ears, eyes, nose, touch, etc. Based on this intelligence, they evaluate the harmful from the rest. That is our intelligence of discriminating the harmful from the usefully based of our experiences over generation, but that experience has been earned through the senses, eyes, ears, etc. And software is not amenable to the senses. Therefore, this is a big challenge, how to develop software sense without human senses. So according to me, there are many other challenges. I just, because of the just two challenges here. This is my concluding message. You may say, as a senior person, old person, my feeling is, when two very dissimilar intelligences synergize, they create wonders of IT revolution. We human beings of the same species, despite having cultural, social, political, and religious differences, having so much in common, if cooperate, can create still more powerful wonders for the welfare of the human race, or even for life on earth. To attain wonderful future for human race and life on earth, we must not be scapegoat of divisive propaganda spread for selfish ends. This is possible through massive drive for literacy and education, insists. I repeat, to attain wonderful future for human race and life on earth, we must not be scapegoat of divisive propaganda spread for selfish. This is possible through massive drive for literacy and education. So friends, massive drive for literacy and education may be quite beneficial for the welfare of. Again, it is stuck. I'm sorry. I think again it is stuck. I don't know what happens. Anyway, I'm finishing. Next is, you will excuse me because again, it is not working. Sorry. So friends, these are some of the research journals regarding computational thinking. Have a look for a minute. And these will be available from Professor Hodda and Dr. Chopra's site. So these are some of the references. So these are there. Thank you lot. I thank you very much for patiently listening to me. Any questions, please? Dr. Chopra, can I make it escape? Hello. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Escaped. So can I make it short, my slides, if you feel like?
As you feel, sir.
So I've done it. Now again, I may be feeling. I think. Hello.
Yes, sir.
I'm not able to see you people.
You are not able to see us?
Am I visible to all of you?
Oh, yes, you are quite visible,
But
audible both.
I'm sorry, I'm not able to see you. But anyway, we can work.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I think I may have exited by mistake. So you please ask a question, though I'll not be able to see your faces now. Please, questions.
Ayushi, you may start the questions.
I repeat the question, sir. How can we instill small kids to develop computational
madam.
thinking attitude?
Sorry, please.
How can we instill small kids to develop computational thinking attitude?
Well, once again, I'll tell you that by small cases, as we saw in the cellular automata. Now, each colored may be taken as a 0 bit, and the white may be taken as 1. I hope you understand. So, cellular automata was a sort of visual representation of the actual computation which goes inside. So, first of all, the children may develop various patterns. And you'll find by making minor changes in the program, we get different, very complex patterns. So this way one gets interested and also knows the behavior of the machine. Just by making very small change in the input, the results may be very, very far away. And this was one of the reasons why, so you are visible. And this was one of the reasons one of the space mission was failed. So what I mean to say, computational thinking requires that very precise rules and very precise inputs must be there. Just you make a small change in the input, say 1 dot is changed, 1 pixel is changed. After thousands of iterations, it may yield totally a different thing. It is very important how computer behaves can be known through this type of experimentation. This was so far as the young people are concerned. But the main thing is theory of small programs is to be experimented by the senior physicists and others. And they should see whether the claim of theory of small programs is really viable and can it replace part of the mathematical physics. So this is just, it was more for the sake of information instead of being an agent of Professor Wolfram. I hope you understand. I just want to tell about one of the sources which may be useful for practicing computation. That was the very first. Next question.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would now like to request Professor M.N. Huda, sir, to please kindly present a certificate to Manohar Lal, sir, as a token of remembrance.
Thank you so much, sir. The certificate is not for the purpose of certification. You are in yourself a certification. It is
So
just a
nice.
purpose of remembrance that on such an interesting topic as part of 90th technical lecture series, you have been a valued speaker. You have
I
so
feel
nicely
honored.
explained.
Actually, it means a lot for me.
You have so nicely
Thank
explained and made us to understand
So nice.
how computational thinking can be of use in both personal as well as professional domain, and how it can add value addition to our personality as well. So thank you so much, sir.
So
I will keep on bothering you to prepare new topics and enlighten all of us.
Thank you.
So
nice, sir.
thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for your zeal.
So
And
I take your leave, please.
yes, sir. And this memento is also just for the purpose of remembrance. Huh?
It is great.
आपके लिए नहीं सर, ये grandson and granddaughter देखेंगे ये.
It's very kind of all of you.
And that will motivate them. So thank you so much.
Give me so much opportunity of work.
Thank you.
So kind of you. So I take leave from.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for giving us time. I also thank all our distinguished panelists and participants who have continuously supported us through our webinars. A big thank you for joining. on this auspicious day.
आयुषी आपकी वॉइस भी
Thank you,
कट रही है
Subrata.
बीच में।
Okay, bye.
I'll just check, sir.
उत्तम
So, dear
हमने लिंक
participants,
नहीं शेयर किया फीडबैक का शायद। मनीष मनीष फीडबैक का लिंक शेयर कर दो।
Sharing, sir.
Dear participants, we are just sharing the feedback link. And please note that this meeting room is converted to a facilitation center now for the purpose of ensuring that you get your certificates. But please note it down that unless you fill the feedback form, you will not be in a position to generate the certificate. And we people cannot generate your certificate on your behalf. So it is you who will have to fill up your feedback form. So please take care of that. And we are sharing the feedback form. Once you complete filling the feedback form, the certificate will be delivered in PDF form at your email ID. And please note that the data which will be filling in feedback form, the certificate will be generated on the basis of that data. So be careful while filling the data. And then write in the chat window you have received the certificate, and then you can log out for the next webinar. There are many other webinars, technical lecture series which have already been announced, and you may register for that every Saturday evening 5:30. Reserve your time slot for all of us. Thank you so much. Wish you all the best. My team members, Ayushi and Mr. Manish, they are here to take care that you get the certificate, and if you are not getting certificate in time, then please write your name and email ID with which you have filled the feedback form so that they can locate the link of the drive, Google Drive, and help you to get your certificate. All the best to you. In between, I also wanted to make an announcement that 17th edition of IndiaCom, that is IndiaCom 2023, which is one of the flagship event of the country, organized by Bharatiya Vidyapeeth and all professional societies, including IEEE Delhi section, IET, and Computer Society of India, Institution of Information Technology Professionals. The call for paper for that program is out. So last date for submission of your research paper is 7th of November. And I request to all of you to kindly go through the website, and if it appeals to you or you are writing paper in that domain related to ICT and ICT enabled areas, then you may submit your paper here. The paper will be uploaded after acceptance and presentation in the conference to IEEE Explore, which is indexed in the world the best possible indexing, abstracting and indexing agencies like ACI, like Scopus, like DBLB, and all other indexing agencies. So you may avail the advantage of that. Thank you so much. Share the
dear participants,
yeah.